everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you an art doll that I made for a swap that group that I'm in. The theme was self-portrait, and so I made a paper doll fully articulated with my face, my body, basically what I look like. I got a little bit serious and intense with it, and then I realized that I needed to stop taking myself so seriously, and I changed it up a little bit at the end. So this is the process except for making the actual body, and I will put a link in the iCard right now which shows you how I make the paper, what the paper is made out of, and how I design and assemble the body. It's from a different video that this is the same body as the bee lady. So the only difference being that I made the head piece, instead of drawing it, I glued a black and white photo of myself and then painted over it. So the body is the same as the bee lady. The colors might be a little bit different, but um, the head's different. The face is different because it's meant to be a self-portrait. So I did glue on the front part. I glued my face and my hair. On the back part, I'm making a piece that I can glue over that will cover the back of the head and go down the back. This is how my hair is. I have long hair in the back. It's a little bit shorter around my face, a little bit layered around my face. So that piece will go on the back like that, and it'll be double thick so that it's nice and sturdy. This is 140-pound cold press watercolor paper that the doll is made out of, and there's a whole process to it which you can watch in the other video. So for this one, I am showing you how I made the face and head, how I made the clothing. I didn't feel comfortable sending somebody my self-portrait doll without any clothes on. Some of the other art paper dolls that I've made that you've seen on my channel, they're naked, and then I make them clothes to put on. This time I'm going to dress myself. I guess it's supposed to represent me in a bra and underwear, and then clothing like I would normally wear, a t-shirt and shorts, and then some more whimsical accessories after that. So I have this scrapbooking paper that I'm making the bra and underwear out of. This would be something I would wear. I like patterned cotton underwear, so and I like them to match. I like the tops and bottoms to match. So this kind of almost looks like a bathing suit at this, sort of, but it is actually underclothing. So I cut them out, I glued them on with a permanent glue stick, and then I did some shadowing with a graphite colored Stabilo all pencil and a water brush just to add the shadows like clothing does have. I mean, when you wouldn't look so flat. Nothing looks flat on a human person. So now she needs some bottoms as well. I'm going to cut that out of the same paper. Well, I guess I'm still working on the hooks and the whatever those strap size adjuster cincher upper things are. Basically, to make the clothes, I'm using scratch paper and tracing around the body of the doll, and then using that little pattern to cut out the pattern paper, and then I glue that on, then shadow it. And in the case of my paper dolls, a lot of paper dolls, they don't have a back side. It's just got like folded tabs on the back, but it's all just completely white on the back. That's not how I do mine. Mine are art dolls, and they have a front and a back. Everything is 360 all the way around. The clothing fastens and is covering both the front and back. I don't like it to be just nothing on the back. In the case of this back side, the way I did the underwear, I put it on the torso piece, but then realized that it didn't look correct. So I ended up putting some of that paper at the top of the legs in the back so that it looks right. I mean, this process was about 5 hours to make the doll from front start to finish. And I'm trying to fit it into 20 minutes, which ended up being 25 minutes. So this is a 25-minute video. So there are pieces that are very sped up. There are pieces that are cut out completely. And of course, I didn't even show cutting, making the paper, painting the paper, cutting out the doll itself, assembling it, putting all the brads in, all that type of stuff is not even in this video. So this is not a quick project, but it's fun, and it was a challenge. I put it off till the very last minute because I just didn't know how I would do a self-portrait. I don't feel comfortable about my face and body. I don't think that um, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. I don't like my photo taken. None of these things. So to actually make something that somewhat looks like me was a little bit on the creepy side. And then I'm sending it to someone else and exchanging it for theirs. So I could have taken it even less seriously and maybe made it even more whimsical, but it said self portrait. So I'm trying to make it look like me. Maybe I could have made it reflect my personality, but I'm not really that deep. So I couldn't think. This was a tough one. Give me a theme like fairy tale or mermaids or something is a lot easier than doing this. This was a tough one. So for the face, like I said, I used a black and white printout from my inkjet printer, just to get the shadows and the placement of the features correct. I didn't feel comfortable just drawing it. I thought I needed something a little bit more concrete. So I put that on with some matte gel medium, and then now I am coloring it in. I need it to match the skin of the body part of the doll. So I need it to be those same colors, but then enhanced with the highlights, the shadows, the pink cheeks, the whole thing. So this process of this tiny little face probably took longer than anything on the entire doll because it requires layers and layers. I have some white acrylic paint on my palette, and then I'm using Neocolor 2 water-soluble crayons as the tint. So I scribble the crayon onto my underpaper, and then I pick it up with the water brush, the water tank brush, but I also have a little bit of the acrylic blended into it. So it lightens the color of what I have on the paper to have that white blended into it. So it's not pure color from what the crayon is, but it's the tint of what it is because I'm adding white. And having that little bit of acrylic mixed in with it helps it to stay permanent because these are water soluble product. And I don't intend to seal this, so I do want to have something to make it permanent when it's dry. Also, that creamy bit of acrylic titanium white paint helps it blend better. So it's not as scratchy of blending. However, when you see the close up, the one at the end, it's not it's not like an acrylic painting. It doesn't look like acrylic painting. It's more blended than that. And of course, I'm using pencil. Um, the pencil is graphite, so I can blend the graphite a little bit. I didn't use any pen really, ink pen on it. I used softer materials, trying to get kind of a portrait look. So I keep adding back in the highlights. I keep adding back in the shadows. It's a layering process. So just layering color on top of color on top of color until you're happy with how it looks. It's something that requires practice. And I did end up feeling like it looked like me. It looked like the picture of me. Um, it's not, it's a very basic expression. I don't have, I, in some of the photos I thought about using, I have goofy looks on my face. I do make faces at the camera when I'm getting my picture taken because I don't like to have my picture taken. So I tend to make goofy faces, and I did have some that were more funny than this. I'm having a lot of problems with my printer. It's really broken, and I needed, I don't know what to do about it. It just prints very, very poorly. So that's the reason that I printed this with just a simple black and white and painted over. I mean, I was going to do that anyway, but instead of printing in color, because my color is all messed up and it comes out weird. It's like I go to print with black, it comes out purple. I go to print with skin tone, it comes out yellow. I don't know what is wrong with the darn thing, but I need to figure it out because I've got some projects where I need to print stuff with my printer and yeah, I got problems. I got printer problems. So here's the back of the hair, and I'm using the same colors that I used in the front, layering on colors and coloring in the back side. So that would be from the back, the doll from the back that will be glued on to that. Using some white, using some pencil, adding some detail, making it look like layered streaky hair with a little bit of purple at the bottom. I do have purple streaks in my hair, so sometimes just one streak, sometimes a lot of streaks. It just depends. Depends on how much time I want to spend, I guess. So then that's going to be glued with tacky glue to the back, and I went ahead and glued it on, flipped the doll over, and realized that some of it shows in the front, so I had to take it back off and color the bottom inside part that shows where around the neck. It was just white. It didn't look right at all, so I had to fix that up a little bit. And then glue it back on again. And now she has the front and the back of her hair. I don't like the white edges around the top, so I get out some Distress ink in photo, whatever something about aged photo, and I sponge the edge all the way around, and then that colors it in brown, and you don't see the white edges. So there's the finished doll without any clothes. That's what it looks like on the front and the back. And now I'm going to make her a t-shirt and some shorts. This is the average thing that I wear every day. I live in Arizona. It's very warm here. Sometimes I wear leggings or yoga pants in the winter and jeans. I mean, obviously I have jeans, but I tend to wear comfortable clothing because I don't go out that much. And so this is very typical of something that I would wear. Jean shorts and a t-shirt. And I don't wear shoes. I mean, I have shoes and I will wear them if I have to go outside, but 90% of the time I am not in shoes. And if I am in shoes, they're either Keen's sandals or Birkenstock sandals. So I didn't make her any shoes because, yeah, I just didn't. Some of my other dolls have boots and different things that I slide on their feet, but for this one, it's just barefoot. So I made a front and back of the shirt, and then I have a gel print here that was a gel print made with pan pastels and a stencil, and I'm cutting it out with tabs, and then the tabs can fold over, but I'm only going to have the tabs fastened on one side, and the tabs are folded under and attached to the back on the inside on one side. So then the tabs will have Velcro, and they Velcro on one side, but then the other side you just slide it over the arm and then Velcro the over the arm and under the arm at the other side. I know that's confusing, but if you really look at the pictures, you can see how it fastens. So here I am sliding it over the one arm and then attaching it with the Velcro on the back, over the arm, and under the arm. And that's how it stays on. So the clothing is all the way around from the front to the back. I have to tuck the shirt underneath the hair. And actually the hair comes in really handy later when I attach the wings. So here's the Velcro dots. They're sticky. I cut it in half and I stick one side down and then stick the other side down and then fold them together. And now it's attached. Now I'm going to add the shading, the shadows. around the shirt on the front and the back, like you do. Again, with the gray graphite Stabilo All pencil. This is a water reactive pencil. I also end up using a little bit of white acrylic paint and then a little bit of dark purple Neocolor 2 crayon just to add a little bit more to the shadows. So if anyone out there likes to make art dolls, I suggest that it would be fun if you tried to make a self-portrait one. And I'm really excited to see other people's photos in the groups, what they came up with. Were they completely whimsical? Were they more realistic? I was really started out making mine realistic. And I wonder if everyone took that route. It's always interesting to see what different people do with the same challenge. So I'm just about done with the t-shirt. I am going to write some words on it as soon as it's dry. Um, I think funny t-shirts about art with funny sayings on them are something that I enjoy. So it says that art is my favorite sport, which is kind of a tongue-in-cheek um, commentary about, of course, yeah, I like to do art. I like to sit in my studio. Maybe I sit on my behind too much and I don't really play sports. And maybe my body would be a different shape if I did play sports. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of, uh, that's the reason that I picked that particular saying to put on the t-shirt. So now she needs some shorts. So tracing around, again, tracing around the doll on the scratch paper and then making a little pattern. I looked around my studio because I did have somewhere in this studio some pattern paper that looks like denim. You know, it's printed to look like denim. It's here somewhere. I have like a little 6x6 pad of it. I could not find it. I was getting so frustrated, could not find it. But I did find this handmade paper, and it definitely has a weave to it. It was made on a screen. I actually remember making this paper. We made a whole bunch of paper one time, a friend of mine and I, and you make blah, paper pulp, and you can put different things into it. And depending on what paper scraps you're using, you know, if you're using junk mail, it comes out kind of gray. If you can throw some scraps of blue into it, and then it will turn into light blue. Or you could put some botanical type stuff like some blueberries or something in it. It's really fun. And then you just spread it out and squish it onto a screen and you let it dry. So that's what kind of paper this is. So I thought, oh, I'll make the shorts because I have a pair of light denim shorts. I'll make the shorts out of this. But then the paper was too weak. And I ended up having to glue it to some mixed media paper and then cut it out again because it tore the minute I tried to stick the Velcro dots and stuff on it. That it just tore. It's way too weak. It doesn't have enough strength to do much with. So then I used some Distress Oxide and faded jeans and sponged all the way around all the edges, and it made it look a lot more realistic because you know the tops of your thighs and the places where you put your pockets and the places where you sit on your bottom gets a lot lighter in jeans. It starts to fade in that area and look more worn. And then the places where it's sewn on the edges tend to stay darker. So that's how it ended up looking once I did that. I also drew in all the details with a permanent Faber-Castell illustration pen and also ended up adding like some little rivets, some little gold rivets with some gold paint eventually. Still putting the Velcro dots on. So this one is it just wraps all the way around. It's folded on one side and then there's a tab on the other side that folds around to the back and fastens to keep the shorts on. They don't have anything in the middle, like in between the legs. There was no folder fasten in between the legs, which means the legs kind of flop around a little bit and they don't always stay in alignment with the you know what I'm saying? The legs want to cross on the doll. They want to swing around, but it's a paper doll. So here I am putting the rivets on. At this point, I was almost done and I was going to be done. And then I thought, I'm taking myself way too seriously. Really, what I really want to be is a fairy. And I want to wear a tutu and a crown. And I should have a crown. I mean, who doesn't have a crown, right? So that's when things went a little bit weird. So I'm starting out with the fairy wings. And this is a very similar gel print. It is the ghost print of the other print that I used for the t-shirt. So it's got the same pattern on it, but it's very light, very, very light. And I ended up not even having to put any fastening on it because I can just tuck it under the hair. Remember, the hair is made out of 140-pound watercolor paper, so that's a stiff paper. And when the wings are just slid up underneath that back hair, they just stay on their own. So I cut out two pairs, glued them back to back. I put a little bit of veining on them with a pencil, and then I put glitter, sparkly diamond glitter stickles on there and made the fairy wings. I also had some leftover of that gold paint that I was using to make the rivets. That's actually what started the whole thing, was I had this leftover paint. So I scraped it onto a piece of scratch paper in order to not waste it, and then realized I should make a crown out of it. So that's what happened with the crown. It's painted on both sides and then cut out. Two pieces are cut out and glued on the edges, and it just slides right over the head and stays on there quite firmly. Doesn't have to have any type of fastener either. I used some stick-on gems on the crown, obviously on the front and back. You got to have gemstones on a crown, of course. I also made a fairy wand, and I used a toothpick for the handle. I painted it dark purple. I made some silver stars with that same sparkly, glittery stuff on them. I glued one to the front, one to the back over the stick and made a fairy wand. And then this is some painty baby wipe. We all use baby wipes in our art room to keep things cleaned up. And this one just happened to have a lot of pink paint on it. And I saved these. I have a bucket of them. I don't know what I'm saving them for, but it made a great tutu. So I just folded it in half. I cut like little scallops. Then I ended up trimming one shorter than the other just because it looked better that way. I glued the two together, and then I got a piece of ribbon and I glued them down to the ribbon, but I didn't feel like it was going to stay. So instead, I just decided to use my tiny attacher stapler, and I'm pleating, like folding under, pleating each one, and then stapling it. And then I glue some strip of rhinestone type stuff over the top of it to cover the staples. I wasn't going to get out the hot glue gun. I wasn't going to get out the sewing machine. The sewing machine would have been good, but it's lost. I can't find it. I mean, it's in a box somewhere. So I just used the tiny attacher, and that worked fine. And then I just camouflaged that with a little bit of bling. So that's it for this project. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment or question below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share all those things. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.